Hey everyone, Elizabeth Wanning here. I wanted to give you a quick update on a great win coming to us from the Supreme Court that maybe you've heard of, but didn't know that we were involved in. So we have, for several years, partnered with Family Policy Alliance in helping them connect with detransitioner testimony that has supported their drafted legislation, Help Not Harm. Now, they put together some model legislation. I think the first bill was introduced in 2017. This model legislation ensures that children do not receive any kind of medical treatment pushing them towards transgender identity. So therefore, they couldn't have any medical surgery like the removal of breasts, and they also couldn't receive puberty blockers and any kind of medical intervention for the sake of transgender identity or quote-unquote transitioning a child. And so these Help Not Harm bills, they've been introduced in several states, and here you can see on this diagram several of them that are listed here where they have passed. What happened with Tennessee's bill was a family claimed that this discriminated against their transgender identifying child on the basis of sex. And so that case eventually had advanced to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court just ruled, or just released their ruling stating that these bills do not discriminate. They are focused on whether or not a minor can receive this care, not whether or not the child is male or female. And so this major decision coming down from the courts has broad-reaching implications, and I want to encourage you to follow the impacts. I'll put a few links down in a little blurb below this video where you can read more detail about the case. But Changed has been involved with these bills for a long time, since we began. When we were first in Washington, D.C. around, I think, 2019, we met Representative Robin Lundstrom from Arkansas while we were at Family Research Council's offices. Robin had introduced this bill in Arkansas, and it had passed, and then as soon as it was passed and signed, an injunction was filed, and that case landed in the courts. I think it's been in the courts ever since. Well, this Supreme Court decision is going to have a huge impact there and in other places, but then it's also going to send a chill across the United States regarding how children are treated when they identify as transgender. And I'm very hopeful that it will open up the door for greater conversation around what kind of actual interventions and therapies are needed for these children. And in Europe, it's already decided that children who are questioning their gender should receive professional therapy from a licensed therapist, something that in the United States, in many states, is prohibited. So every state that has a so-called conversion therapy ban for minors prohibits any kind of change-allowing therapy, whether it's a child identifying as LGB or a child who identifies as T, trans. And in states like California, that has become a huge, huge problem as parents have had to leave the state in order to find care for their children who are confused about their gender identity. And so the impacts of this Supreme Court case are broad-reaching. Changed has been involved from almost the very beginning, helping Family Policy Alliance and states who are proposing and promoting bills protecting children, helping them find expert witness testimony. So we are sharing in this win and passing it along to you. To follow this story, I'm going to put a couple links in the blurb. Be sure to read.